Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into Ben Wheatley's A Field in England. This is a film that's notoriously difficult to pin down, and honestly, for good reason.
It really is. People call it folk horror, a psychological thriller.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely sticks with you.
Yeah, if you've watched it, you know it's not really a film you just get. It feels more like, I don't know, a puzzle designed to mess with your head. So our mission today is to maybe unravel a few of its mysteries, pull out what makes it so, well, unique for you.
And it's a great one for this deep dive format because A Field in England, it really rewards anyone drawn to, layered metaphors, surreal stuff, really bold filmmaking. We want to look at it not just as a story, but maybe as a kind of psychological ritual, a symbolic journey, even like a visual hallucination.
Right.
The idea is to cut through some of that intensity and complexity and get to the core meanings and give you a solid grasp without it feeling like homework.
Okay, let's start unpacking this thing. It's set during the English Civil War, which, makes you think period piece. But it feels like it's wrestling with much bigger, maybe more timeless ideas than just history. What are those foundational concepts at play?
You're absolutely right. The Civil War isn't just wallpaper. It's symptomatic. A key theme is definitely the chaos and the collapse of meaning. The film uses that historical chaos to show a world where all kinds of order, political, moral, even cosmic, is just disintegrated. And the field itself becomes this timeless, lawless space where language, logic, it all just unravels, makes you wonder what holds our reality together,
Definitely.
And tied into that is this idea of knowledge and madness. You see it with the alchemy, the mushrooms, these arcane rituals. It really makes you question what truth even is, how we perceive things. And it shows how searching for knowledge can actually, lead you straight into madness. Intellectual arrogance, maybe.
And then there's the power dynamic, right, between O'Neill and the others.
Yes, exactly. That power and submission theme is chilling. It shows how power is often built on just illusion, manipulation, fear. It almost feels like tyranny is a kind of spiritual possession in the film.
Wow.
And finally, there's nature as this indifferent witness. The field itself, it's not really a character, it's just a stage, silent, uncaring, which really drives home the idea that all our human struggles, however huge they feel to us, are maybe just fleeting shadows on this vast, indifferent background.
That idea of an indifferent canvas. Yeah, it's quite something. Humbling, maybe terrifying even. This film is just dripping with symbolism. It practically begs you to interpret it. Can you walk us through some of the really potent symbols? What might they be hinting at?
Oh, it's incredibly rich, symbolically. Let's start with the big one, the field itself. It's clearly not just a patch of dirt. It's a symbolic space. You could see it as part battlefield, part purgatory. Maybe even a kind of Jungian dream realm.
A dream realm.
Yeah, time gets weird in there. Reality distorts. There's even this strong suggestion it might actually be the inside of Whitehead's mind. You feel trapped in his breakdown almost.
That's a wild thought, the field as a mindscape. How else does the film sort of immerse you psychologically like that?
Well, the alchemy theme is absolutely central to that feeling. It's all about transformation, right?
Yeah.
Transformation of the self, spiritual purification, maybe even ego dissolution. The whole film kind of works as this parable about inner death and rebirth, a total psychological reset, whether you take that literally or, metaphorically.
Yeah.
Then you have the rope. It's more than just a rope. It seems to represent this link, a tether between the seen and unseen worlds, a descent maybe into another plane, hallucinatory or spiritual.
Well, the mushrooms, obviously.
Oh, yeah, the mushroom. Can't forget that. It definitely fuels the madness, no question. But it also seems to function as something that opens perception. Connects to shamanic ideas, psychedelic allegory, and the visuals completely mirror that. After they take them, you get those intense strobe effects, mirrored shots, really disorienting editing that fractures your sense of reality along with theirs. And even the flags and heraldry, they have this kind of mock epic, almost ironic feel. Despite the war setting, these raggedy symbols of authority just undercut any sense of grandeur. They reveal the whole conflict as this pathetic little farce of identity.
It's brilliant how these big themes and symbols then get embodied by the characters. They feel less like people and more like walking metaphors for these ideas. Tell us about the main figures. What are their deeper psychological roles?
Absolutely. They function almost like archetypes. Take Whitehead, Reece Shearsmith's character. He's sort of the fool or the pilgrim, maybe the unwilling alchemist. Starts out as this cowardly scholar obsessed with purity, but he goes through this intense ritualistic transformation. His journey really maps onto that classic fool's journey archetype, you know?
Oh, the descent and rebirth.
Exactly. A descent into madness, then maybe emerging wiser if deeply haunted.
To O'Neill. He's unforgettable.
Michael Smiley is O'Neill. Yeah. He's the sorcerer, or maybe the shadow self, part wizard, part war criminal. He manipulates everyone with this mix of arcane knowledge and sheer terrifying charisma. You can even argue he is Whitehead's shadow, all the rage and desire Whitehead tries to repress.
That's a compelling reading.
And then the other three, Friend, Jacob, and Cutler, they're almost like the broken body or the collective ego. Each represents a different facet. Friend is naive optimism, Jacob is brute instinct, Cutler is loyalty that curdles into madness, and ultimately they're all consumed or transformed by whatever forces are at work in that field.
You know, thinking of them as fragments of a psyche just makes the whole film feel even more claustrophobic and strange. Beyond story and character, the look of the film is so unique, very experimental. How do those visual techniques really amplify the themes we're talking about?
Oh, the visual style is absolutely essential. Couldn't achieve the same effect without it. First, the black and white cinematography. It gives it that historical document feel, but the high contrast, the surreal lighting, it also makes it feel timeless, dreamlike, and really abstract.
Yeah, it's not a cozy black and white.
Not at all. And Wheatley uses a lot of mirrored and repetitive imagery, symmetry, looping visuals. It all suggests psychological loops, déjà vu, the sense that the ego is collapsing. For the characters, and maybe for you watching it.
And those strobe sequences.
Right, the strobe editing sequences. Especially when Whitehead has his quote-unquote enlightenment, the film just explodes into the psychedelic montage. It really feels like consciousness itself is being torn apart on screen.
Viscerally.
And then there are those moments, the still tableau and freeze frames. The actors are posed, mid-action, like figures in old religious paintings. It really brings in these themes of martyrdom, spiritual allegory. Makes it feel both ancient and immediate.
It's a lot to take in, and the film definitely doesn't hand you easy answers. But if we try to sort of boil it down, what are the bigger allegories, the deeper readings we can maybe take away from this whole experience?
Well, there are a few really strong interpretive frameworks. One that feels very resonant is seeing it as a civil war of the mind. Maybe the film isn't really about the English Civil War historically, but more about a mental breakdown. Each character is a part of Whitehead's psyche fighting itself during a spiritual crisis.
Interesting.
Another angle is the anti-war commentary. It definitely doesn't glorify war. It shows it as petty, absurd, and just psychically shattering. It strips away the heroism and presents war as this kind of ritualized insanity which echoes all the occult stuff.
Yeah, that comes through loud and clear.
And finally, you could read it through this lens of a psychedelic Christianity. You have themes of resurrection, self-punishment, metaphysical rebirth. It feels like Christian mysticism, but filtered through this hallucinogenic shamanic experience. Whitehead is essentially, spiritually crucified and then reborn into something else.
So for those of you listening who found this deep dive fascinating and maybe want to explore similar cinematic territory, our sources pointed to a few other films. We're talking things like The Witch, Valhalla Rising, The Holy Mountain, The Lighthouse, El Topo, and Dead Man.
Yeah, those are great comparisons. They share some key DNA. The Witch has that historical horror, spiritual dread, isolation. Valhalla Rising mixes that psychedelic vibe with medieval violence and existential emptiness. The Holy Mountain is just pure alchemical surrealism.
Right.
The Lighthouse gives you madness, archetypes, that mythic claustrophobia. El Topo has symbolic violence, Western mysticism. And Dead Man is another stark black and white film, very poetic, a kind of metaphysical Western.
In the end, A Field in England really does feel less like a movie you watch and more like, an alchemical experiment performed on you, the viewer. It throws history, madness, ego, transformation right in your face, using this incredibly stark imagery and fractured storytelling. It's a true folk horror riddle, leaving itself wide open to interpretation, political, spiritual, psychological, you name it.
Yeah, you definitely don't just watch it, you kind of survive it. And maybe the final thought for you is this. If this deep dive suggests that surrendering to a film like A Field in England, to its internal unsettling logic, might actually change you.
Yeah.
Well, what other art, what other experiences might you be avoiding just because they challenge your grip on reality?